Hi folks, and welcome back to my Pi alternative energy speedrun. The last video ended at approximately 25 hours of playtime, just after reaching logistic science packs and crafting the first construction bots. In this video, I want to continue retracing my steps. My next big goals were scaling up, providing products onto the train network, and making progress towards the next science pack. That is called Pi Science Pack 2 and requires a bunch of new animals and plants. Another 25 hours have passed. My base grew nicely and I might be approximately halfway to Pi 2. But I should start at the beginning. At the end of the last video, I doubled my acetylene production. But I actually don't need all of it right now and can generate a good amount of power from it. There were also a few mistakes which I had to fix, like missing inserters, missing a whole building, throughput limitations, or a chest without limits. My speedrun is far from perfect. No more belting through the whole base. I want more trains. For logs, simple circuit boards, batteries and tin plates. These trains are expensive. I'm happy about my stockpile of steel plates, duralumin and simple circuit boards. I squeeze in another station to deliver logistic science packs. It's easier to train one pack into the base than two packs out of the base. One train to bring titanium plates to rubber production, and another train to deliver rubber. Here is another unconventional train stop to automate delivery of the iron Nexalit antimony special alloy. The boron trioxide is not automated yet, but according to my calculations it will last for 33 hours. Nothing to worry about. Production of logistic science packs will not stop for a while, and I can start to focus on other tasks. As a reminder, I'm currently producing 8 logistic science packs per minute and a matching 24 automation science packs. But the Pi Science Pack 1 is a huge bottleneck at only 9 per minute. 10 if I sacrifice a bit of rubber. Increasing beyond that is just not possible within the space constraints of my starter base. I'm currently planning for 12 Pi 2, 24 logistic, 36 Pi 1 and 72 automation science packs per minute. If I scale up Pi 1 first, I should burn through the accumulated logistic science packs pretty fast. Time to build some new city blocks. Coal distillation is first. This converts one full belt of raw coal into coke, iron oxide, tar and coal gas. It's more or less the build from the starter base. But here the coal gas is fully converted into syngas and ash. Everything goes onto trains, with all overflow being voided. I want this running forever. In a few hundred hours I might need to move the mining drills a bit, but that's a problem for future me. I also add some train refueling mechanic that works for the current throughput requirements. All trains will drive to one of these 4 fuel stops after unloading, before returning to their loading station. Next up are sand castings, which are needed for most metal plates. The creosote is loaded in an innovative way. The sand castings are put to immediate use, making some chromium, 1 per second. Chromium enables me to build medium power poles. Now I can upgrade my train stations to yellow inserters if necessary. Yellow inserters are still kind of expensive. Each one costs 2 simple circuit boards and 1 duralumin. My buffer of steel plates is running out. It's time to bring some iron ore into the base. I don't mind all those rails, because I need to go here anyway. Here is the nearest iron patch, a good niobium patch, and quartz. I more or less duplicate my tar refining and acetylene in a new city block. I want the acetylene as liquid fuel, the aromatics for more zinc, and most importantly, the organic solvent for double the rubber production. I'm so happy about my stockpile of rails. This allows me to exploit a salt mine and start producing molten salt for the upcoming power plant. Since I've already laid down most of the rails, I can quickly add salt to the train network and use another salt mine to produce sodium hydroxide. Oh, and I found another source of geothermal water. I start building a coal power plant and put hot air onto the train network. Can you spot my mistake? There is an update available for Pi mods for some time now. The update introduces a new recipe for simple circuit boards using real batteries. The first recipe using the copper zinc batteries now only makes 3 instead of 5 simple circuit boards. I waited with this update until I'm ready, switching to the real batteries. Now is the time. So I belt over the batteries and remove the cheap batteries. I also find another solution for the stone byproduct from quartz processing, because I can no longer rely on it being used. I set up my first mushroom with the unspeakable name. I will check back later. Directly after researching the better rubber recipe, I bring organic solvent to my rubber production and double my output. Also, the first mushroom has finished, and I set everything up to produce a good stockpile of them. I switch to rubber stoppers from rubber. I'm not happy with those belts crossing rail blocks, but this is just temporary. My research is approaching niobium quickly, and I still don't have hydrogen chloride. Time to change this. The lamps are professionally made and transported. I build a bit more zinc mining and smelting. I bring in extra aromatics by train to not disturb the delicate balance of my starter base. I have enough aromatics, but not enough Pi 1 science packs, so I use the simple smelting recipe. Drill heads are used in such low quantities, but I do not automate them. Instead, I produce a small batch to start niobium mining. Oops, my coal power plants have stopped. Time to reverse the ash belts. I need refined syngas for mining niobium. The better recipe is locked deep down in the tech tree, so I have to make it the crappy way. And then I realize that I haven't unlocked the recipe for coal dust from raw fiber yet. Maybe I should have used ash separation instead, but I have enough logs at the moment, and this way I don't have to deal with byproducts. I add borax mining and washing to my multi-purpose train stop in the north. My aluminium mining drills are almost out of resources. I move them further to the left. The collectors for native flora also need some small adjustments. Some ash chests have filled up. I have to fix this, otherwise my rail production will stop. These chests are also almost full, and I should add a buffer for nickel plates. In a few hours my nichrome production will be happy for that small buffer. I don't produce nearly enough simple circuit boards for any serious expansion plan. So I double SAP and methane production for the printed circuit substrate. And I try to prioritize batteries by placing more inserters. Now I should be making 12 simple circuit boards per minute. Not great, but better than only 6 per minute. I will need more DNA samples for future plants and animals and bring some resources. The manual setup is still okay for now. I quickly build some niobium mining and bring in all the required items and fluids by train. The train for refined syngas needs an adjusted schedule because I only make 2 per second and I will not wait multiple hours for the fluid wagon to fill up. It feels so good to make some progress in the middle of the transition to Rails. And even more progress is about to happen. Soon I will have Kickalk. Unfortunately, I need to craft 7 expensive ones before I can make them the cheap way. That's 350 simple circuit boards. They are crazily expensive. I've also made a few mushrooms by now and fill up the remaining module slots. I have stockpiled 1500 logistic science packs by now. Time to work on Pi 1 science packs. The existing build is integrated too tightly into my starter base. If I remove it, the starter base resources are not used properly. So I just leave it running and add half of my future science production on Rails. Most ingredients are already available on the train network, except molten glass. Here is the molten glass. 1 full belt of quartz is processed here. I start running out of rails, so I build a bit more cautiously. I move my collectors from native flora again. This time they cover the whole patch, and unfortunately it will slowly run out now. My steel plates are almost gone, but I'm already researching the solution. 1 building each is more than enough for a while. I will configure the recipes as soon as the technology is researched. The stone byproduct goes to latex production, of course on the prioritized belt lane. I built something small to start the Kickalk reproduction that will start automatically. I set up a small manual production of nichrome. The chromium train has no schedule yet. I call and unload it manually, because there's no space for that many train stations. I make some rauk food. This is more than I need for the planned rauks, but I also need some for R-cards. You guessed correctly. The next step after rauk food are the rauks themselves. Many buildings are still missing, mostly because I will move rauks from my rubber production to here, but also because I planned for enough moss and sap to upgrade to Mark II modules later. This is my very first slaughtering with proper sorting of products. Everything goes into chests. I will add trains later, when I have a consumer. I intentionally don't want to void excess meat for now. And unintentionally, I put the cages onto the belt. Oops. I put more modules into the Kickalk plantation. This upscaling is really slow. I add some intricate mechanic to put all Kickalk to good use and not overproduce seeds. And I manually bring some ingredients to make more cDNA. Let's make some shiny underground pipes. I don't intend to use them a lot, because my iron production can still keep up. There are only a few places where the longer underground distance is really needed. These rauks are gone now. They live a better life here and get some proper food. I clean up this city block and put down a blueprint for making a bit more latex and rubber. But it takes a while until I get everything built and working correctly. I'm too lazy to do anything with a few chests full of animal parts. I will probably find them in 100 hours and be happy about the chest full of brains. My buffer of lead plates is almost full. This means more tin plates are required. I would have liked to build a dedicated block, but I don't have the resources for it, so I tried to squeeze something small in here. The old tin processing is still used for phytoplankton. The previous train station providing tin plates is now requesting tin plates and is hooked up properly. Hot air is running low, so I upgrade to the better recipe and reheat the coke oven gas using hot molten salt. This setup does not have the correct ratios, but at least it's small, easy to build, needs no belts and only requires a few stone bricks. It is also designed to be tileable to the left. The previous recipe is still running on the right. Don't try to understand the purpose of all the underflow and overflow valves. Magically, it just works. I drop a few stacks of resources into these chests for more drill heads. More tin plates means I'll need more lead plates. Solder is such a huge bottleneck for rail production. I could upgrade to molten solder, but I don't like the idea of more spaghetti in my starter base. Let's see how long I can resist. My logs are running low, so I produce more using muddy sludge. This is a fantastic recipe and a tight blueprint. I might just use this until the end of the game. By the way, this city block is a good candidate to save some rails. It just needs a single train station. Hot air in my starter base is running low, probably due to the molten lead. So I add a train station for hot air at my plasmid production. Battery production is limited by urea at the moment. What if I simply double my urea production? In the long run, I need to scale this up massively, but the small band-aid does its job, and the chemical plant producing batteries now runs non-stop. I believe it's time for more coke. First step, more tar. I try not to forget putting in a few stacks of resources into important chests from time to time. My aluminium starter patch is running out again. Time for a more permanent solution. Conveniently, there is an empty belt lane going in the right direction, and the coal gas is already here. Looks like some plan from many hours ago is working. After some distractions, I can continue producing more coke. I also start the next creature. Ulrichs are great for bone meal and are needed for arcades. Aromatics in my starter base is running low, so I changed my rubber production to use aromatics from the train network. I have enough because of the tar refining I just built. I need more power and increase this block from 4 to 7 power plants. The drill heads for niobium are running low and I manually deliver some. And since I'm here, I upgrade the train station for coke to support 2 wagons. Coke is one of those resources that I want to transport in longer trains. A bit of stone mining can't hurt. The stone bricks will be eaten by automation science once I scale this up. And the aromatics, gasoline and heavy oil are important in the long run. I set up voiding of stone bricks via vaults as a last resort. I want this running the whole time and rely on all its products being made. Almost a full hour later, I have rebuilt my iron processing into something more modern. I skip the centrifuges for now. They need too much power for my current situation. But there is enough space to double production when I need it. I make some food for Ulrichs, and you probably already guessed it, the Ulrichs themselves. I try something new this time. The produced modules are put into a storage chest and I leave a single construction bot behind to slowly fill up the buildings with modules. It's time for scaling up science production. This makes the intended 72 per minute and requires so much native flora that I squeeze it in next to the resource patch. The short trains for iron plates are a huge bottleneck, so I add a second cargo wagon to my iron plate train and to my copper plate train as well. I will need it in the future. I finally remove my labs, redesign this train station to provide Pi 1 science packs, and build enough labs on the train network to consume my 24 planned logistic science packs per minute. I still have train throughput issues and add a second train for ash, stone bricks and iron plates. 12 yellow inserters only move 14.4 items per second. A single train alternating between loading and unloading can't deliver more than 7.2 items per second, ignoring any time spent driving around, so it's probably more like 7 per second. I understand why some people add loaders to their game. I have enough rails to just build 2 empty blocks. That's a positive surprise. I invest a few minutes of my time to bring coke for my boron trioxide production. That way I can hopefully delay that block for quite some time. Automation is for lazy players. Work hard, not smart. I want to put glass onto the train network. Having an empty block definitely helps. I plan to add more different glass products into the same block later. Next up, lead on the train network, far away in the north. This will consume a lot more acetylene than I currently produce. That's fine. I don't need all the lead right now. Even a bit of production can build up a little buffer for later. And all important acetylene consumers are more central and thus have higher priority for the train. No train mod required. I tried to make some progress towards batteries and simple circuit boards on the train network. Plastic is an important part for it. But it hurts to make a separate block for it. I just don't want to squeeze it in somewhere else. I'm constantly running low on duralumin. The one smelter could make 15 per minute, but I don't have enough aluminium plates for it. The upgraded process is just so much more efficient. The only downside is the required bell spaghetti. Coke is nearby, and I can route the other 2 from my steel build. My starter base is running low on steam. Most of these ash chests are full by now. But I make more than enough syngas nearby and use some of it to keep my starter base running, which is still crucially important. I don't really care to clean up this mess right now. Maybe I'll add a station for ash when I need more of that. And since I'm already here and was thinking about aluminium lately, I put down a train station for coal gas. Maybe I'll need it in the future. I'm beginning to notice a traffic jam at my 4 train refuel stops. Or rather 3 stops, because the Pi 1 science train is waiting here until one of the 2 provider stations has enough science packs for a train load. So I spent countless hours in creative mode to squeeze in a fuel stop into my city block blueprint. A separate train delivers coke and the ash is burned off. You might notice this useless splitter in there. It's supposed to allow me upgrading to the next level of trains. and I'll probably never get to Mark III trains anyway, so there's nothing to worry about right now. I understand players who use a mod for smarter trains, especially for fueling. But I had a lot of fun designing this fuel station, so I'm gonna use it now. To relieve the pressure from the train refueling stops, I changed a few high-frequency trains to use the new system. Without the trains for coke, ash, stone bricks, tar, acetylene and a few other products, the situation gets a lot better. More will follow in the future. Where was I? Right, batteries for simple circuit boards. They need antimony. I'm so heavily constrained by simple circuit boards that I can't build at the scale that I want to. Despite the low throughput, train stops are rather expensive. 5 simple circuit boards for the stop itself, 2 for the surrounding signals, 10 for the 2 combinators, and 24 for 12 yellow inserters. In fact, they are so expensive that using deadlocks loaders or the mini loader chutes feels like cheating to me. And I still only make 12 simple circuit boards per minute. In hindsight, I should have scaled them up to 18 or 24 per minute a long time ago. But I want to rebuild them properly, using the more efficient recipe for Formica. I need to do something that doesn't require many simple circuit boards. I temporarily changed my Rauk production to no longer produce Rauks, and instead try to upgrade to Mark II modules. They have a 0.5% chance to make, and I need 2 of them to make more. This means that over the next few hours my rubber production will be highly reduced, but I have a few thousand in storage. What else can I do without many simple circuit boards? Manure from orcs. The orc paddocks require huge amounts of iron and stone, and the moss isn't cheap either. But this build doesn't need a lot of my bottlenecked resources. It won't take much longer to finish researching cliff explosives. I need lard to make some, but I currently avoid all slaughtering byproducts. I squeeze in a chest. I should have done this from the beginning. It's produced so slowly. I guess simple circuit boards have to wait a bit. Cliff explosives are more interesting and I need some sulfur to make them. This is the first time I try out methane as liquid fuel. Mostly because acetylene wouldn't be delivered that far out due to the acetylene-hungry lead mining. Unfortunately, this will deadlock soon. And here is my production of acid gas for sulfuric acid. It eats more zinc and copper plates than I currently produce, but it also produces a lot more acid gas than I currently need and makes a lot of refined syngas too. There is just one catch. I'm still missing the technology for methanol. I get rid of my previous redefined syngas production and use the existing train stations to bring in acid gas. And I add storage for the oleochemicals byproduct. Methanol has finished researching, and I make non-zero cliff explosives. I should automate a bit more, so I finally deliver chromium by train. Add another train for lard and fully automate my non-zero nichrome production. With that little destruction out of the way, I'm back on track, automating batteries and simple circuit boards on the train network. Next up, petri dishes. Not nearly enough for my intended science production, but enough for now. Sorgner bacteria, urea and melamine all go into the same block. I also want to have centralized production of cyanic acid here, so that I can better use the ammonia and switch to other recipes more easily. If I wanted, I could have made logistic bots directly after Niobium, probably around the 37-hour mark. However, just a few bots don't have a huge effect, and making more bots doesn't leave any simple circuit boards for actually expanding. And even with my current level of production, I can forget to build a bot mall anyway. However, I still wanted to reach this milestone before the 50-hour mark, so I built a few plus some rubber ports and stashed them away. They will be great for starting the bot mall sometime in the future. This time I use molten lead to make the lead antimony alloy. I'm one step closer to scaling up batteries and simple circuit boards. I'm running low on copper, so I'm upgrading it to the molten recipe and put it into a proper city block. I reuse all the machines from my previous build, otherwise it would have been too expensive. After such an expensive build I need something cheaper, so I increase the manure to the full block. For my simple circuit boards I intend to make formica using fiberboard and formaldehyde. Here they are. I originally planned to use the Better Moondrop recipe, but unfortunately it's not researched yet. I still don't have any solder on the train network, but I don't want any further huge distractions. So I add more spaghetti next to my tin production. The adjacent block has some space for the necessary train stations. Finally, I remove my 12 per minute simple circuit boards and replace them with 72 per minute. One chip shooter running non-stop. One bottleneck resolved, 3 bottlenecks remain. Batteries, duralumin and acetylene. That's a good point to wrap up this video. In the last 25 hours of playtime, I have scaled up many important products and provided them onto the train network. And I still made good progress towards the next science pack. I made niobium plates, mushrooms, kickalc and ulric. I also made my first cliff explosives and logistic pods. Compared to the 25-hour mark, my current factory looks huge. But it's still kind of small. In Pi, this stage of upscaling and moving to trains is a tedious one. My rule of thumb: rebuilding on trains takes as long as everything else up to that point. For me it seems to take even longer, because the pre-train phase was so short. But I tried to mix in some progress to not lose interest. I also decided to prepare blueprints in creative mode and just paste them into the real game. My speedrun, my rules. I don't know how much faster I was because of this. It definitely required a lot more planning time, and I started to feel other limitations, such as construction bot speed, slow recharging of my personal roboports, and in general resource bottlenecks for all the expensive infrastructure. In the next 25 hours I will probably scale up more of the important resources and try my luck at crafting the first Arcade Queen. Maybe I'll also build a mall. I don't know yet. At some point I need to, but I know that doing so needs lots of time and drains all important resources from the base. I'm not sure whether to increase logistics science right now, because at my current rate of 8 per minute, I can complete research for the next science pack around the 80-hour mark, and I doubt that I can build all missing parts in that time frame. I still miss many alien life forms: Yeedles, Tufras, Arcades, Corlax, sea sponges, sepia, and many of their requirements. I haven't made any progress towards rare earth mining yet. The next few hours will be a bumpy ride. Unfortunately, speedrunning this huge mod pack takes so much more time overall than just playing the game normally. And difficult to believe, but there's also a life besides Factorio. As you might have noticed, I have stopped the full recording of my playthrough, but I hope to be back in a few months with a little bit more progress in this condensed format. If you want me to produce more or different Pi related videos, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and may your factory grow.